Hey guys, welcome to the AFL Saturday betting preview. In this video, I'm going to go through my best bet for the Essendon St Kilda game and the Port Adelaide Melbourne game. Obviously, with the long weekend, the games are spread right out, either one or two games right throughout. So I'm breaking these up into two bets, all my bets for each game for each day. We'll start with Essendon St Kilda game, and I spoke about this matchup in the betting trends preview for this week that St Kilda was definitely going to be a bet. The lines moved a little bit into our favor. That line from -8.5 has come down to -5.5. I'm definitely still happy to take the Saints here to win this game by 6 or more. With the lineups coming out for this matchup, it's definitely been the reason for this line movement. Obviously, Max King out suspended, and then you have Darcy Parish coming back in for the Bombers. And Bombers also do lose Peter Wright. So kind of both teams are losing key players for this matchup. But I think the defense of St Kilda is going to be too much for the Bombers to overcome. No matter what, defensive teams generally stay in matches and rarely get blown out. So for that reason, St Kilda should never be out of this game. And I think across the four quarters, they can win the game and cover what is a really, really small spread. The Bombers, neither team is super strong, and they're fairly even based on last season's numbers, which we're looking at here. Like they're fairly even from the attacking perspective, but you can see St Kilda head and shoulders above defensively, winning the contested possessions. St Kilda ranked 6th in the league last season to the Bombers 16th. Aside from at the clearances, where the Bombers are a much better team, like St Kilda, bottom 2 or 3 team there in clearances. They won the matchup against Essendon last season by 18 points when they're a 1.5-point favorite. And for me, this line hasn't moved enough since that last game. You can see here 1.5, 192.74. And for this to only move up the 4 points. So that's the opening play. And as always, I only have a level stake all the bets that I'm recommending and talking about posting for you guys. So that's the way I also recommend you guys play it. And then the second game, Port Adelaide versus Melbourne. This is a pretty good game between these two sides, and one that really could go either way. Port Adelaide at home definitely gives them an advantage. Melbourne have exceeded expectations a little bit so far this season. Their recent meetings have been fairly close. Port Adelaide won here last season in round 10 by 4 points. Prior to that, Melbourne won by 14. At TIO Stadium. The main trend that stood out for this game was the under, with 12 of the last 13 head-to-head going under the total points line. With the total set in the mid-160s, I'm not really keen to get involved, even though there is a big trend pushing towards the under. And I don't really want to back Port at the 2-goal spread or Melbourne to cover that 2-goal spread. So I'm going to play this game with what I think where the lines are. I think they're pretty much spot on. I don't think there's much mistakes or value either way. So I'm going to play a same game multi. So the 4 legs that I'm going with for this matchup, we're going Clayton Oliver, 25 plus. He's had 23 touches last week, but was tagged by Finn McGuinness against Hawthorn, and he has hit this number in 15 of his last 16, going back to round 1, 2023. Obviously missed quite a few games last season, but pretty much hit this in all but one of them. Next leg, Zach Butters, 25 plus disposals. So far this season, he had 27 and 34 touches. He hit 25 plus in his last 8 games. So consistently going over this number, and has also hit it in 19 of his last 22 games. Had 41 touches, so a career high, and obviously best against Melbourne last season as well. So I elected to go with Butters over Connor Rosie. In this matchup, also elected to go with Oliver as opposed to Petrarca, because Oliver has a better record against Port Adelaide in racking up the touches than Petrarca does. And then the 2 other legs, we're going Christian Salem, 15 plus disposals. He's hit 20 plus in all 3 games so far this season, so should be able to clear the 15 touches as long as he holds form. And then last leg, Ed Langdon, 15 plus disposals. Hit 18 plus all 3 games this season. Had 26 touches last week and has hit this number of 15 or more in his last 13 straight appearances. Both Salem and Langdon both have good records and have hit 15 plus touches. I think going back to 2020 and 2019 respectively for those two. So have been consistently able to get these touches against Port Adelaide. So those four all up paid $2.09. So those are the two plays that we're going with for the AFL on Saturday. If you're following along, good luck. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Bit of a rough day yesterday in the AFL, only hitting one of the three plays, being the player prop multi in the Carlton North Melbourne game, which itself won very easily. We had Carlton 1-39, which in retrospect and hindsight, looking back on that game, probably should have just taken the overs. That was my initial thought when I first went through that game, but probably just overthought it a little bit. Gave North Melbourne a little bit more credit than they've probably been deserving, and I put a little bit too much weight on the performance against Fremantle the week prior. But they still were kind of in the game, but just Carlton just kept holding that 50 to 60 point lead in the second half, so couldn't get the number back down under 40. But yeah, probably should have played the overs in that game. And then Adelaide have just continued to be really disappointing so far this season. After what was a bit of an up-and-coming season last year, they've definitely been a team that has dropped back to a bottom 8 side based on what they've done so far. So I'm going to potentially look to fade them over the coming weeks until they get their front half or forward half organized. But then over in the NRL, we're able to go 2-0 yesterday, hitting the Canterbury Bulldogs plus 6.5, and also the over 42.5 in the Broncos Cowboys game, which sailed over, even though it was really poor conditions in the first half. They had managed 30 points already at halftime, or 32, I think it was in the end, 20-12 at halftime. So that made that game go over very, very easily. So 3-2 overall on the day. Hopefully across the two plays in the AFL, and I've just posted the video as well for the NRL, the one play for the NRL for tomorrow. So 3 plays on the sports tomorrow, and it being a Saturday, I got a lot of horse racing bets coming up. It's the last day of the month. With the horse racing, the way I kind of track the results, and obviously I track the weekly results, also track how the results are going monthly. And as long as it's not an absolute horror day tomorrow, which based on the bets that I've selected, it definitely shouldn't be, then we'll make it 30 out of 30 profitable months since I started the racing show back in October 2021, where I was posting bets for members, not when I first started betting. First started betting on the horse racing back in 2000 and late 2013. So since posting the bets in 2021, we've had 30 out of 30 winning months, and it's over 1,300 units profit now. So for example, the members who've been following betting $100 units are up over 130 grand. $50 units is about 65 grand over the past 2.5 years. If you go to investor.bet.com.au, you can see all the results of every single bet of these results I'm talking about. I'm not just kind of making up random numbers or, talking about these results. And you can't really see what had happened. You can actually go through and see the results of every single bet, because I'm very, very big on tracking the results, seeing how everything is going. And because having that information, just like as you see here with the statistics, having information to make decisions allows you to make better decisions. You're not just, randomly guessing and hoping that, your gut feeling on a game, or the little thought you had, or you heard something online or something in the media where, yeah, I think this team's going to win, and you just went with that. You're not being as influenced by those kind of things, and you're actually making decisions with information. So hopefully that helps you give some insight on some things you can do with your betting to increase profits, make as much money as you possibly can out of these betting companies. That's why I created investor.bet, to help more and more people be able to do this, learn the strategies, learn the things to look for, so that more people can be winning bettors and make some really, really good tax-free income.